Welcome back to Broadscast with Kim and Jackie. So, Chris Tenney, he is an actor. He is a comedian. And he's also a young man who has autism. And he's joining us today. Hello, Chris.
Hello, Kim.
Hi, it's Kim and Jackie, actually. How are you? You
hello,
got two
Kim,
for the price
and
of
hello,
one.
Jackie.
Hello.
Hi.
So do you go by Chris or Christopher?
I usually go by Chris.
All right. So we'll call you Christopher.
Thank you.
I'm totally kidding. So, before we get into what you are doing, so can you give us a little bit of background? Like, how old were you when you were diagnosed with autism?
I was diagnosed with autism around, 3.5? Yeah, I think 3.5.
Okay.
And at age 6, I was diagnosed with optic rectalitis, which means I had a pretty crappy outlook about the whole thing.
So, I mean, you're clearly already letting people know the comedian side of you. So, but I love how, and Kim and I were watching a stand-up routine you did at Best Buddies event.
At the leadership conference. Hey, Chris, did you know I used to work for Best Buddies, by the way?
Oh.
I did. I ran the California office. It was before you were famous.
But your comedy is... It's so refreshing and it's so honest. And so you use, your life experiences, you use your autism diagnosis, you use so many, in your comedy. So at what age were you realizing like, hey, this can be fun and funny?
A bit recently, like maybe 2019.
Yeah. And so how did that happen? That's all right. So were you always a funny guy?
Oh, my dad always said I was, and I have to admit, I did make a lot of people genuinely laugh when I wasn't trying to. So,
you know what? I have a 10-year-old, almost 11-year-old with autism, and he has the best sense of humor of almost anyone I've ever met. I mean, he's super clever. Like, and in watching you, it just kind of filled my heart a little bit, because I told him this morning, I'm going to talk to somebody who, was diagnosed with autism, who's a stand-up comedian, and his eyes opened wide, and he was so excited to hear about it. So, I mean, at some point I'd love to, introduce you, but I mean, tell us, where has your life gone since this comedy
Acting
all of it
career?
Well, just last week I shot a commercial for Oscar Mayer.
Oh, that's
cool.
cool.
You did?
Yeah.
Wow.
And you did a Wienermobile?
Not in the Wienermobile, but let's see. It was like a couple weeks ago, maybe a month. I was in a commercial for Little Caesars National, aired just after the Super Bowl.
Wow.
That's fantastic.
And you did a short film too, correct?
Yeah. The autism thing, yeah.
Okay, cool.
So can you tell us a little bit? So growing up, I mean, I don't want to out your age, but you're in your early 20s, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So growing
He's 24,
up,
I'm just saying it.
24, all right. So what kind of challenges did you face as a young man with autism, 15 years ago, let's say, when you were in elementary school or junior high? What kinds of things did you have to deal with?
Well, let's see. In middle school, the administration wasn't exactly all that good with meeting my needs. They gave me a 1-to-1, but they kept changing it like every, 3 weeks?
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Right.
Finally,
transition's easy and all.
So did you
switch to a school called Village Glen? I don't know if anyone's heard of that.
Okay.
Anywho, I had to switch over to them.
Right.
Which basically is a school purely for people on the spectrum.
And for people on the spectrum. So let me ask you a question. So if you could tell your 15-year-old self some advice, what do you think what would you tell yourself now as a young, successful man? What would you go back and tell yourself when you were dealing with some of those struggles when you were a little bit younger? Would you be able to do that?
I honestly do not know, because my usual way, because I tend to overthink a lot of these things, I end up worrying about, Sound of Thunder, right?
Right.
Well, Step on a Butterfly, Change the Future.
Right.
I told myself advice, I have no idea what that would do for me. So honestly, I'd probably just say stay the course because, if I changed my past, I may not end up being a stand-up comic or
Right.
what have you.
And so a young kid who's, looking at you as a role model and maybe believes that he or she can do anything, what would you tell them? How would you encourage them to?
Okay, that I can do. Well, I would tell them, work hard, find something you're good at.
And it sounds like stay the course.
Yeah, that and find something you're good at. Work toward it. Life is not easy, so I'm shattering that illusion right now.
Well, we are just, extremely impressed and really love your spirit and your sense of humor. And we thank you so much for coming on Broadscast and talking to us, Chris. And where can people learn more about you? Do you have a website or anything or a YouTube?
I'm on YouTube under Autistic Chris.
Okay. Well, we'll definitely...
We'll make sure we put a link to that on our website, too.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Chris Tenney. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you for having me.
Okay.
And it was good to be on your show.
Thank you so much.
We'll see you soon. All right, when we come back, the dad bod and why the ladies seem to like it, and is it a big, fat, wonka waka double standard? We'll be right back, taking your calls, 661-298-5487.
Back to Broadscast, 661-298-5487. The internet is going a buzz. It's a buzz. It's this dad bod thing is everywhere. And it's what's really funny is that it's all over the parenting sites. It's all over, it's just everywhere. Slate and all the big guns. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm so not hip.
But what's excuse me, really interesting to me is that this whole thing originated as a post by a 19-year-old Clemson student.
Right.
Mackenzie Pearson, and we have her on the show today. Welcome, Mackenzie.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
So, dad bod, you originally heard this term from your roommate.
Yeah, I did.
And for those living under a rock, why don't you explain what a dad bod is?
Okay, the dad bod is a guy's physique, and it's someone that was really muscular at one time, but kind of has developed a little bit of maybe a layer of flab over it or a layer of fat, and it's just the average male body type that you see every day.
And the women are the girl.
Wait, topped off with the beer belly. I thought that was the best part, right?
Yeah.
But this is something you're talking about in college as the body type, the hot body type.
Yes.
But why is it a dad bod? Like, why isn't it just a man bob? Like a man bob?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's that particular body type that you see more on college guys. I started looking around with my friends, and we were like, hey, our friends are dating guys that look like this. And it became more and more apparent that those were the guys that were, going out on Thursday nights to $2 tacos or going in, out on the weekends and enjoying football games and tailgating with you rather than the guys that were in the gym every night and took themselves a little too seriously. It was someone that we saw as the regular guy, the guy that you were best friends with, and the guys that our friends were dating.
So is it the body type really that is the interest, or it's the type of guy who enjoys a little balance in his life and knows how to have a good time, and he just so happens to have that body?
Yeah, I think it's kind of both, because I think with that body type comes that guy, because I think that the body type is a reflection of that kind of guy, but I think that kind of guy also is the guy that's going to wear that body type and wear it confidently, and those are the guys that we tend to be attracted to, especially as 20-something-year-old girls.
So when you wrote this post, did you have any idea that GQ and Washington Post and New York Magazine and Jon Stewart from The Daily Show, did you realize that it was going to have this kind of these legs underneath it?
Not at all. I actually wrote it. I write an article once a week for the Odyssey and was writing it for that week. And actually wrote it back in March, and then it caught fire in April, and I had so many people that were suddenly reading it, I ended up actually doing a follow-up piece and writing a mom bod article, which was just a really different tone, but I started realizing it got picked up when my editor texted me like on a random Thursday morning. She was like, "Hey, your article has 5,000 shares," and it was actually during my finals week. So it ended up going viral during my finals,
Wow.
and I had people trying to contact me and stuff. So I kind of cut my phone off, actually. When I turned it back on, I realized all these people were writing about it, and it was just a complete whirlwind from there.
And we're going to talk about the mom bod in the next segment, but I want to hit upon a few points that you made, because you said that women like the dad bod because she doesn't feel like she feels pretty next to him and she's not intimidated. And one thing that you said was, if he's this way now, you're kind of see into the future of what he'll look like in his 30s and 40s. I'm here to tell you, as the Mackenzie from Christmas Future, that you are not guaranteed that he will look like that in his 40s.
Yeah.
You know, but we also have Tatiana here, who is in your 20s.
Yeah.
And what do you think? Talk to Mackenzie. What do you think about the dad bod being a few years older than she is?
I would say I'm actually into more of the dad bod.
Really?
I've dated guys that have like a really great physique, but they're boring and douchey and have like no personality, and I'm like, I don't want to deal with you. But it's guys that like she said, like more of the regular, like can eat tacos, like can have a couple of beers and maybe go to the gym maybe just 2 or 3 times a week. They're like more relatable, and you do feel a lot more comfortable with them.
Right.
So I'm actually more attracted to that.
I was going to say, I don't think Kim likes a dad bod.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, no. I do not like the chiseled thing at all. I used to say, I still say it, the chiseled bod, I don't want to date someone that has bigger boobs than me. And so if your pecs
Really,
are gigantic,
honey?
I don't. But now,
That really limits a lot of men.
But the problem is now with the dad bod, we're going to be sharing bras. Right? So I have to find somewhere in between. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. His idea of a date is not at the gym.
But what I do like is the fact that you're 19, right?
Right.
You're 19 years old and you already get the quality man. So it's not about the body. It's not about the physique. And maybe he'll go up in weight. Maybe he'll go down in weight. Maybe he'll, jump on P90X for 3 months because he feels like it. But that's not what it's about. What I love is that young women are realizing it's about a guy who has some depth. It's about a guy who has
girth.
about a guy who knows how to live life, who has balance, who enjoys living and you know what I mean? I think that at least when I was in college, it was always like, oh, is he hot or is he this? And I always liked the underdog.
Well,
I always liked that guy.
Yeah. Well, I also think that Mackenzie's point is that, they're not taking themselves too seriously, that you're more focused, that you're willing to go out and have a couple beers and a couple pieces of pizza or whatever and not freak out that you've skipped your gym appearance for the day.
But it's a double standard.
Absolutely.
It's a double standard.
And I think also,
we're going to talk about that because we have to go to break.
Is Mackenzie staying with us?
Yes, Mackenzie's going to stay with us because we want to talk about your mom bod article and talk about the double standard a little bit.
All right, so stay tuned, 661-298-5487. We'll be right back.